It was a sunny afternoon, and Mia was walking home from school. She lived in a small village with beautiful trees and flowers everywhere. As she walked, she heard a tiny meow coming from behind a bush. Curious, Mia stopped and looked closer. A little white kitten was hiding there. It looked scared and hungry. "Are you lost?" Mia asked softly, reaching out her hand. The kitten slowly came closer and rubbed its head against her fingers. Mia decided to take the kitten home. She wrapped it in her scarf and carried it carefully. When she arrived, her mom smiled and said, "Let's give it some milk and a warm place to rest." After the kitten ate, it purred happily. Mia named it Snowy because of its soft white fur. She put up posters around the village, hoping to find Snowy's owner. The next day, an old man came to their door. He saw the poster and said, "That's my kitten. Her name is Lily. Thank you for taking care of her." Mia felt a little sad but knew Lily had to go home. The old man promised Mia she could visit Lily anytime she wanted. From that day on, Mia often visited Lily, and they all became friends. It was the start of a special bond between Mia, the old man, and the little kitten. Mia visited the old man's house every weekend. His name was Mr. Thomas, and he lived in a cozy cottage with a beautiful garden. Lily, the kitten, always greeted Mia at the gate, running to her and climbing into her arms. One day, while Mia and Mr. Thomas were in the garden, he said, "You have a kind heart, Mia. Not everyone would stop to help a little kitten. How about helping me with something else?" "What is it?" Mia asked, curious. Mr. Thomas showed her an old wooden shed at the back of his garden. "I used to grow vegetables here, but now it's a mess. Would you like to help me clean it up and plant new seeds?" Mia's face lit up. "Of course. I'd love to." They spent the next few weeks cleaning the shed, pulling out weeds, and planting tomatoes, carrots, and flowers. Snowy, now Lily, followed them everywhere, chasing butterflies and playing in the dirt. As the garden grew, so did their friendship. Mr. Thomas taught Mia how to care for plants, and Mia shared her school stories with him. It became their special project. One day, Mr. Thomas surprised Mia with a small gift. It was a picture of her and Lily in the garden, framed beautifully. "You brought so much life and joy here, Mia," he said with a smile. Mia hugged him tightly. "And you taught me so much, Mr. Thomas." "Thank you." From then on, Mia knew that helping others, whether it was a kitten, a garden, or a friend, could make the world a brighter place. Months passed, and the garden turned into a colorful paradise. The vegetables grew tall, and the flowers bloomed in every shade of the rainbow. And Mr. Thomas decided to share their harvest with the village. They set up a small stand near the main road with a sign that read, "Fresh vegetables and flowers, free for all." Villagers stopped by, surprised and delighted. "This is wonderful," said Mrs. Carter, the baker. "You've made our village even more beautiful." Children came to pick flowers, and families enjoyed the fresh vegetables. Everyone started calling it Mia and Mr. Thomas's Garden of Kindness. One afternoon, a young woman visited the stand. She had a warm smile and introduced herself as Claire. "I'm the new teacher in the village school," she said. "I heard about your garden and wanted to see it myself." Mia and Mr. Thomas invited her to visit the garden. Claire was amazed by the hard work and care they had put into it. "You know," she said, "we've been planning to teach the students about gardening. Would you both help us start a school garden?" Mia's eyes sparkled with excitement. "That sounds amazing. I'd love to help." And so, a new chapter began. Mia, Mr. Thomas, and Claire worked together to teach the children how to plant seeds, care for plants, and grow their own food. Lily became the school garden's unofficial mascot, loved by all the students. Over time, the garden grew into a gathering place for the entire village. It wasn't just about plants, it was about kindness, friendship, and the joy of working together. Mia looked at the garden one sunny afternoon and thought to herself, it all started with one small kitten. And now, it feels like the whole village is family. Life continued to intertwine with the garden and the people in her village. As the school garden thrived, more and more children became interested in growing their own plants. They brought seeds from their homes, some for vegetables, some for flowers, and even a few for unusual plants like pumpkins and sunflowers. One day, while Mia and Mr. Thomas were checking the tomato plants, Claire ran over excitedly. "I just got an idea," she said. "What if we hold a garden festival? Everyone in the village can bring their best fruits, vegetables, and flowers to share, and we can have games and food too." Mia clapped her hands. "That's a brilliant idea. Let's do it." For the next few weeks, the entire village prepared for the festival. Mr. Thomas made colorful wooden signs. Claire organized a flower arrangement contest. Claire organized a flower arrangement contest. And Mia helped the children create decorations for the event. Lily, of course, supervised everything, often getting paint on her paws as she played near the signs. When the day of the festival arrived, the village square was buzzing with excitement. Tables were filled with baskets of fresh produce, vases of flowers, and homemade pies and jams. Children ran around, showing off their painted pots and tiny plants. Mia and Mr. Thomas set up a small booth to tell the story of how their garden started. Villagers listened with smiles, amazed that such a big change had begun with a small act of kindness. As the evening came, lanterns were lit around the square, casting a warm glow. Claire invited everyone to sit near the stage, where the children performed a short play about the life of a garden. Mia played the role of the sun, wearing a golden crown, while the other children pretended to be seeds, plants, and raindrops. After the play, the old village mayor stood up to speak. "This festival reminds us of the power of kindness and community," he said. "Mia, Mr. Thomas, and everyone who helped with this garden have shown us how small efforts can grow into something wonderful. Let's make this garden festival a yearly tradition." The crowd cheered, and Mia felt her heart fill with happiness. She looked at Mr. Thomas, who smiled proudly. As the festival ended, Mia sat by the garden with Lily in her lap. The stars twinkled above, and the laughter of the villagers still echoed in the air. "Lily," she whispered, stroking the kitten's soft fur, "you changed my life. And because of you, we've all grown closer. I'll never forget how it all started, with a little meow in the bushes." From that day on, Mia continued to care for the gardens, share stories, and inspire others. The garden festival became an annual event, bringing joy to the village every year. And Mia knew that the simple act of helping a lost kitten had planted a seed of kindness that would grow forever. Mia grew older, but her love for the garden and the village never faded. Every year, the garden festival brought new faces and fresh ideas. By the time Mia was a teenager, she was known as the village's green guardian. People came to her not only for gardening advice but also for help with small acts of kindness. One summer, during the busiest festival preparations, Mr. Thomas fell ill. He could no longer work in the garden as he used to, and this worried Mia. She visited him every day, bringing fresh flowers and vegetables from their garden. "You've taught me everything I know," Mia told him one evening. "Now it's my turn to take care of things for a while." Mr. Thomas smiled, his eyes full of pride. "You've already done so much, Mia. The garden, and the village, is in good hands." Determined to keep the festival special, Mia rallied the children and villagers to work together. This year, she added a special project, a memory garden in honor of Mr. Thomas and everything he had done for the community. The memory garden featured benches, colorful flowers, and a small pond with lily pads, named after the kitten that had started it all. On the day of the festival, Mia pushed Mr. Thomas's wheelchair to the garden's entrance. The entire village clapped and cheered for him. A plaque near the pond read, "For Mr. Thomas, the heart of our garden." Tears filled his eyes as he looked around. "You've made this village bloom, Mia," he said, his voice soft but full of emotion. "I'm so proud of you." Years passed, and Mia eventually went to college to study environmental science. Though she missed the village, she returned every holiday to visit Mr. Thomas and continue her work in the garden. When she graduated, Mia brought her new knowledge back home. She expanded the garden to include a greenhouse, teaching the villagers how to grow plants even in the colder months. She also started a garden school, where people from nearby towns could learn about sustainable farming, planting trees, and helping nature thrive. One winter, Mr. Thomas passed away peacefully in his sleep. The village gathered to honor his memory, planting a tall oak tree in the center of the memory garden. Mia stood beneath its branches, promising to keep his legacy alive. Over the years, the village became famous for its gardens and festivals. Tourists came to visit, amazed by the beauty and the sense of community. The income from tourism helped the village grow, funding schools, libraries, and new projects. Mia eventually became a leader in the village, but she never forgot the small kitten that started it all. Lily, who had grown old alongside Mr. Thomas, remained by Mia's side until her final days. Even after Lily was gone, the memory garden thrived, and the story of Mia, Mr. Thomas, and the little kitten became a cherished legend passed down through generations. And every time a new kitten or stray animal found its way into the village, the children would say, "This might be another Lily, ready to change our lives." Mia smiled every time she heard it, knowing that kindness, no matter how small, always had the power to grow into something extraordinary. Years later, Mia stood in the memory garden, now a place of beauty and reflection. The oak tree planted for Mr. Thomas had grown tall and strong, its branches stretching wide to shelter the blooming flowers below. Children laughed and played in the garden, their voices mingling with the gentle hum of bees and the rustle of leaves. The village had become a haven of harmony, where everyone found joy in caring for nature and one another. As Mia watched the children, she thought of Mr. Thomas, Lily, and all the moments that had brought her to this day. She realized the true magic of their journey wasn't just the garden itself, but the connections it had created, the friendships, the lessons, and the love that had grown alongside every plant. The memory garden wasn't just a tribute to the past. It was a promise to the future, a reminder that kindness, no matter how small, could blossom into something extraordinary. With a deep breath, Mia planted one last seed in the soil beneath the oak tree. For the next generation, she whispered with a smile. As the sun set over the village, casting a golden glow over the garden, Mia knew that the story of her and Mr. Thomas's garden would live on, inspiring others to nurture the world and each other for years to come.